Alabama losing some guys to the NFL, which is something that we've grown accustomed to since Nick Saban has taken over as the Tide's head coach. A lot of talent. Alabama's losing some guys. One guy, though, that could have left is coming back. We're going to talk about that now. Welcome to the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Let's get this party started. Roll Tide. What do you say, everybody? Welcome to the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. It's time for Bama Tailgate Daily. Make sure that you like and subscribe as we talk anything and everything Alabama football right here on the site. And it's always great to be joined by my buddy and partner today, Brett Elmore. It's Big Elmo. Man, good to see you, brother. Like your shirt over there at WJLX. Follow him at Brett Elmore Show. I'm Mick Gillispie. How you been?
Roll Tide, Mick. Everything's good. The days are getting brighter. Starting to get over the little Michigan loss. So everything's good, but hope you're doing well.
Yeah, it's been a tough week, man. Yeah. I mean, it has been a tough week. And it's been tough because you hate to lose a game like that. We talked about it already, but you're right. It's starting to realize what a great season it was, and there were a lot of positives to take away from the year, but did not finish the way that we wanted it to finish. Still, next year, Alabama, according to Vegas, is one of two teams. Them and Georgia have the best odds to win the national championship. So that tells you that there's a lot of talent coming back.
That's right. I think they have Georgia 1, Bama 2, Ohio State 3rd, and Texas 4th, the last I looked. So, yeah, we're going to be right there in the mix again, and a lot of talent coming back, but we do have some talent that's going to be leaving us either via the transfer portal or the NFL draft.
Well, let's start with one guy that is staying, and it was news yesterday, Deontay Lawson. He's going to stick around, the linebacker, dealt with some injuries this year. When he was in the game, he's certainly a difference maker, but it gives Alabama on defense that guy that has the experience, definitely can help other players as they learn the system. It's going to be some new faces out there or guys who maybe didn't get as much playing time out on the field. And I think it is definitely beneficial to Kevin Steele and his defense to have Deontay Lawson return.
Yeah, that's a good DB to come back, and like you mentioned, that's one, and there'll probably be some more that say, you know, I'm going to stick it out and come back for another season. Not everyone's going to be leaving. Not everyone's hitting the portal or the draft because they know their draft stock may go up if they stay and play one more season.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Brett, let's talk about some of the players that have declared already for the NFL draft. And I'm going to start with the guy that did it first, and that was Dallas Turner. And I'm sure that the pain of losing the championship was frustrating. I'm sure he would have liked to have rushed the quarterback instead of, kind of having the drop back and coverage some, just depending on what the scheme was at the time. He kind of mentioned that. But this is a big guy, big loss for Alabama. Well, we knew he was going to leave. I mean, this is one of the premier defensive players that's going to be in this year's draft.
Yeah, I mean, great edge rusher, but he made his intentions known right after the game in the locker room. As reported, we talked about it, I think, either in the recap or one of the shows, but he's going to be a first-round pick, and we figured he was going to be one of the ones that goes.
Then you talk about the guys that declared yesterday, one of them being Kool-Aid McKinstry. I mean, was anyone thinking that Kool-Aid was going to stick around and play another year?
I don't think so. I mean, we kind of saw that coming as well, and I think he'll make a big impact in the NFL. I think he's ready to go, but yeah, I figured he'd probably wanted to declare.
The other guys, obviously, Terrion Arnold, we knew he was going to leave. these are all guys who are going to get picked high in the draft. And as Nick Saban goes through, Brett, he meets with the players. They talk about where their draft status would be, where they would be on the team if they returned. And the guys that can go and make good money, big money in the NFL, as much as it hurts, he tells them to go. And there's another guy, Terrion Arnold. I'm expecting him to be a high draft pick. Malachi Moore could be another guy that would demand some cash at the next level. Part of that secondary that was just so good for Alabama.
Yeah, that's right. And let's see, I think he had Braswell. He's another edge rusher. He announced he'd be going to the draft. He announced that yesterday, and that leaves us without probably two of our best edge rushers.
Yeah, so guys are going to have to either step up or they're going to have to go into the portal and try to find some guys. And it's interesting, I mean, you just never know who's going to end up in that transfer portal and how that could affect Alabama's roster. Do you think that Alabama's going to have another, one of those guys that you would expect to stay and then, and then they leave, like Drew Sanders, who went to Arkansas a few years ago, and you could tell Alabama and Nick Saban really wanted him to stay? Or do you feel like with this team that only the guys that are transferring out are players that Alabama kind of feels like, hey, like Seth McLaughlin? I mean, he's, if he could have gotten it might have been better for him to stay, work on the snaps and the ability to get those snaps over, kind of redo the season and make up for 25 snaps that were, errant this past year? Or do you think it was better for him to go somewhere else in Alabama to move on?
Probably to move on. But you were asking about, someone that may come back that we may think goes maybe to the draft. Malachi Moore is one of those players. As a matter of fact, Chris Lowe reported yesterday that he does plan to return for his 5th season. So I bet you we hear something today about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you're talking about different guys that have the opportunity to leave. Some players, Alabama would say to them, hey, you know what? It's probably a good idea for you as far as where you're at on the depth chart to go somewhere else. Maybe this isn't the right fit for your skill set. They do lose a guy that was a very highly coveted wide receiver in Shaz Preston, Miles Kitzelman, who's a tight end, transferring out. You talked about McLaughlin. There's already guys who have found other programs.
I think McLaughlin, surprisingly enough, was supposed to visit Ohio State yesterday.
Yeah, so maybe he ends up at Ohio State. And who knows? I mean, he's got a lot of experience.
Yeah,
but that was it is what it is. I mean, at this point, there was obviously something going on where he wasn't able to get the ball to the quarterback. And I mean, the center quarterback exchange is pretty important. I mean, we found that out the hard way this year. Ja'Cory Brooks transferred to Louisville. I mean, there's just different guys that transferred. Some of those guys like Brooks transferred out before the playoff even happened. So, but I don't think that there's been one player yet that is jumped up into the transfer portal to me that really impacts the roster much.
No, I don't think so. Like you mentioned, I think we had 5 transfer out before the season ended. Of course, Buckner went back to Notre Dame. We all know about that.
But he stuck around and played.
He stuck around, but he declared he was going to be entering the portal. But and I'm glad he stuck around. And
he's going back as a lacrosse player.
He's going back as a lacrosse player, and it's pretty cool to get a degree. I guess he'll be getting a good degree from Notre Dame, which would be cool, or continuing some form of education there. Earl Little, the second, the DB, he is from Tallahassee. He entered the portal, and he's supposed to be visiting with Florida State. So,
and that's the guy that most people have thought like they really don't want to lose Earl Little.
Yeah, and maybe maybe he's a little homesick, and maybe he sees what's happening at Florida State. Maybe he wants to be a part of that. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, that's the one that kind of stands out of all of them.
Yeah, good point there. And that may be one of the guys that Nick Saban says, hey, you know what? We want you to come back. It's crazy. I mean, the way that this portal works, you see like Ole Miss yesterday, they've been killing it in the transfer portal. And then all of a sudden, Judkins, their star running back, jumps in the portal.
Yeah.
What'd you make of that?
That's surprised me, really. But you look at the players that we talked about, Georgia, they have been just riddled with transfers and folks going to the NFL. I thought I read somewhere where they had somewhere around 30 players. I mean, this whole portal thing is crazy. And I think the portal closes for our guys, Sunday?
Yeah.
So we'll hear more news probably today. Folks making decisions, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep up on that. All right, brother. Well, look, this is fun. We'll jump back on tomorrow morning. We're going to start doing this every morning where we get on here and just kind of update you on what's going on. If things break throughout the day that are worth jumping on, we'll do that as well. But thanks for hanging out with us here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. And make sure that you guys like and subscribe, and roll tide, everybody.